Hello there, and welcome to another edition of the Volleyball Coaches Show. I'm Jordan Bazron with Murathletics.com, joined alongside Head Coach Steven Gream. How you doing, Coach?
Doing well.
Good. Let's go back and talk about last week first, and before we get into this week. We had a conference matchup with Harding, another road matchup. It was a good little drive up there.
Yeah.
But we got up there, and it was Logan Tolbert who really got going offensively for you. And we talked about last week, or maybe a few weeks ago, about how important it was to get her going offensively after you saw what she could do defensively. Can you talk about how she performed in that match?
Well, we said one of the keys in the last interview was that we had to have our offense pick up a little bit, and Logan was one of those pieces that we needed to pick up, and she did a really good job. Came in and basically I told her, I said, I need Logan from 2013. And it was so funny when we was in a timeout, and I said, that's the Logan from 2013. Thank you for showing up. She's like, I'm glad to be here. But she did a really good job. She followed the scouting report. We told her exactly what was going to be open. She followed the scouting report and used her athletic ability and did really well. And you know, what you're worried about sometimes is when a player has been blocking so well, you ask her to increase her offense, you're afraid the defense goes down. But she kept it both very well. She blocked very well last week, especially against Harding. I thought she did a really good job of getting a lot of touches on the ball and things like that. So we're looking for her to just carry on, because her and Ali O'Banion is really carrying us in the middle right now. Yeah,
speaking of Ali O'Banion, it's a name that we mention almost every week in this show. Me and Daniel talked earlier this morning about how you expected O'Banion to just be somewhat of a role player her freshman year, but she's really stepped up and been one of the really bright spots of this team.
Oh yeah, I mean, when you get a freshman, you know you're recruiting talent, but you don't know how they're going to adjust to the D2 level. And that was the way it was with Allie. You know, we had injuries and some other things come in, and we said, Allie, let's just see what she can do. And she's really took the reins and really worked hard. She's very coachable. She works hard. She asks questions, and we don't have to tell her 3 or 4 times what to do. She does it, makes the adjustments. When she messes up, she knows she messes up, and she makes the adjustments without us having to tell her every little time. And you know, we feel bad for her sometimes. We've had her on the right side, we've had her in the middle. We've even thought about putting her on the outside a few times because she's just doing so well. You have to keep her in the lineup, and she just is very consistent. She's very coachable. She works hard, she hits hard, and she's very smart. And not only that on the offensive end, but on the defensive end, she's blocking very well as well. So again, her and Logan are really carrying us with the blocks this year.
Now, speaking of blocking, you actually outblocked Harding 10-3 in that match, and your team actually blocked extremely well all of last week. And pretty much thus far this season. Last week, you outblocked your opponents 32-13, which must be a good feeling defensively. Can you talk about what kind of reads your players are making, or is it a certain scouting report, or are your players just performing at a really high level to be able to I guess, outblock opponents?
I would say it's all the above, really. Coach Grittman's really done a really good job of working with them, getting to look at certain things. Every hitter, every setter, every passer has a tell. And you know, the thing is getting them to see those tells and be able to read the block, and we're doing a very good job with that. We're also scouting, and so we know what to tell them. This is what they like to hit, things like that to take away. And that was the way with Harding. You know, we knew what certain players like to hit, and we put those players in that certain position, and we got lucky and got some good stops. So it's just a combination of everything. Like I said, Coach Grittman's really done a good job with them, and we look forward to carry on.
Now, we lost that match in 3 sets. They were all close sets, though. You were, I believe, in the 20s in every set. Let's go to the 3rd set. Now, your team trailed 9-16, and then you made somewhat of a run. It seemed to be a recurring theme this season, your big runs, and you ended up tying the match at 22. Of course, Harding pulled away in the end. But what do those big runs say about the potential of your team?
It says a lot, because that's where we know we can be. You know, obviously, we'd like to be on the front end of those runs rather than the back end of those runs, but you know, when we play, every time we're getting better at doing that and feeling confident. I think it's just more of a feel where we got to get used to each other even more, and every time we play, we're getting there. You know, we've moved people around so much that we've tried to just keep it steady to where they can get used to each other, and I think it's paying off. We got, like I said, the middles are picking up there. That allows us to do some runs there. We're serving more aggressive now. We're playing better defense now. So those are the key ingredients you have to have when you make those runs.
Now, we got home late on Thursday. We got home at about midnight, and your team had a quick turnaround. You guys left the next morning at 10 a.m. to head to San Antonio for a St. Mary's Tri match. How hard is it on your team to have to turn around that quickly on that short amount of sleep? I mean, some kids had class the next morning. So can you just talk about what it's like being an athlete and having to go through that kind of turnaround?
Well, sometimes we feel like professional players. Sometimes the way we have to travel. Sometimes where you play in one city and go to another city. It's not easy. It's not easy. One thing about our girls is they've learned how to sleep on the bus. So that kind of helps a little bit. Me, I don't do that. So there's too much of me on the bus to get enough room to sleep. But they sleep on the bus, which helps them out a lot. They slept that night. They slept that next morning. When you're on the bus for 8 hours going to San Antonio, you have plenty of time to do whatever you want to do. And but it is hard, especially when you're missing some classes that they know they need to keep an eye on as far as catching up on things, because that's always on the back of their mind and things like that. So what we try to do is we try to give them time to kind of regroup on that and kind of get some rest that night. We got there, we went straight to the hotel. We ate supper and went straight to the hotel so they could get that rest for the next day. We didn't play Texas A&M International until 1 o'clock, I believe. So that allowed them to kind of sleep in a little bit and kind of pick up on those Z's a little bit and relax a little bit. But it is stressful when you go and go, but that's what conference tournament's going to be. So.
Now, you made your schedule strong in the beginning on purpose. We talked about this. You wanted your team to face tough challenges in the beginning, to be able to, I guess, overcome obstacles later. And now, when you went into the St. Mary's Tri-Match, you faced a team in Texas A&M International who weren't that impressive. I mean, they were bottom of the ranks, but you still have to come out and play the game, and you still have to win the game.
Right.
What your team did, they came out, they had a balanced offensive attack. You had, I think it was 5 players with 8 or more kills. Your team swung a season high 317. But the big story, Ali O'Banian, I mean, a name that keeps coming up over and over and over again. She had 12 kills in 15 attempts and made that 1 error late, but it still stands as the GAC's second highest attacking percentage in a single match this season. Can you talk about what was working for her, and just talk about her improvement, her continued improvement?
Well, I mean, as I said before, she's real coachable. She wants to learn. She wants to get better every time she gets out there, and that's what makes her such a good player. She's always asking questions with me and Coach Brittany. That particular match, we said going in the scouting report that if our middles played anywhere close to the way they did against Harding, they couldn't handle us. We're just too physical in the middle with Logan and with Allie. It was so funny that their own coaches even saying, "You do realize that girl's a freshman, but she doesn't play like a freshman." So she really did a really good job of following the scouting report. Not just hitting one shot, she hit multiple sets, which made it hard to defend her. The one mistake she made, she hit into a double block. Trying to run something different, just work on something, and she hit into a double block. That was the only error she made that game. So we're really pleased with her and how she's doing. And like I said, Logan did a really good job there in that game as well, which allowed us to have that high hitting percentage you was talking about.
Now, I talked to you and Ali both after the match, after you got your first victory of the season. How important was it to get that first victory, to have that confidence boost for your team?
Oh, that's what we've been needing. We've been so close so many times. We went to 5 sets 3 times, 7 for match point 3 or 4 times, and just let them wiggle off the hook. To finally get over that hump, we can do this, and kind of build that confidence going in. And that's what we had going into the St. Mary's game. We had that confidence. We played very well against them in that first set. We've got conference coming up here. We've been kind of successful over the past few years with Monticello, and we're hoping that will carry over where, yes, we can win, and then kind of build that confidence so we can work on different things.
Now, going back, we just talked about offense, but against St. Mary's, it was defense again. Your team has been stout defensively, and against St. Mary's, you actually outblocked them 14-5. And like you said, that first set, it was a great first set. And then the second set, I think it was, it kind of went downhill from there. I think we were up 8-6 or something like that, and they ended up winning the set 25-9. But I guess volleyball is just a game of runs, and that's what's happened this whole season. Is we've gotten up or we've gotten down, and we've made a run, and it's just about playing well towards the end of the set to steal the set and ultimately steal the match.
Well, in those 2 sets, set 2 and set 3, that really hurt us with St. Mary's was we had a few calls that kind of rattled us a little bit. I didn't think they were all that bad, but just enough to rattle our kids a little bit, and then they were trying to push a little too much. But when you try to push against a good team, and you push in the wrong ways, errors going to pile up, and then you have a good team that's going to also pick up their game because you just beat them the set before, so they're not going to lay down either, especially on their home court. So you put those two things together, there's where that big run came, where we got down. Then in the third set, the same thing. Fourth set, we really bounced back and really started playing like we could. We just fell a little short in the fourth set, but I thought we played really close to what we did in the first set. We just fell a little short. When you play good teams on their home court, you cannot let them have those runs, and that's what we did in those two sets.
And I told Daniel earlier, their record really wasn't indicative of how good they actually are. They have one of the best liberos in the league, and we ended up losing that match 1-3, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But moving forward to tomorrow, we're finally back home for a little while. I think we have a 4-game homestand this week. Tomorrow we start with Arkansas Monticello, an in-conference foe, at 3 o'clock, 1 o'clock? 3 o'clock. At 3 o'clock, we start with Arkansas Monticello, who's not at the top of the league, but anywhere in this league, you always have to bring your A game. And turns out Monticello is second in the conference in digs per set. I'm guessing, do you expect it to be a defensive game similar to Harding?
I do. It's Harding and OU both. I mean, both of those teams were very good defensive teams. I see Monticello being the same way. I've just got through watching tape. They are not going to let a ball hit the floor. You're going to earn every swing you get. That's their A game right now. Offensively, they're kind of like us. They're trying to find a little niche there. Hopefully, they don't find it tomorrow. But that's going to be the name of the game. There is we're going to have to cut down on our mistakes, not let their defense frustrate us into making those mistakes. Yeah,
like you said, another category which they're first in the conference in is opponent hitting percentage. Their opponents hit a very, very low hitting percentage. Now, from what you've seen on film, do they force opponents into a lot of errors, or do they just not let a lot of balls hit the floor?
It's both. It's both. They don't let the balls hit the floor and keep the ball in play enough to where the more you swing, the more chance you have to make a mistake, and that's where they get you. And OB's the same way. OB, that's the name of their game, and I think that Monticello has kind of modeled that approach, and it's working for them right now until their offense can catch up.
Now, Monticello, I believe you're 7-1 against over here. Like you said, you have a lot of success against them, especially recently. You've won your last 4 matches. Now, moving forward, they play each other. Arkansas Monticello and Central Baptist play each other at 5 in between. And then at 7, you will take on Central Baptist, an NAIA team. What have you seen from them, if anything, on film thus far?
I haven't, to tell you the truth, I haven't got to them yet. I've been so worried with the conference match. But as far as looking at their stats, I've looked at their stats and looking at the personnel they have. They have a lot of their players that they had last year when we played them last year. They have one of our former players playing for them now. I look for them to be really scrappy. Their head coach used to play for OBU, so I look for their defense to be really scrappy. I look for them to get plenty of swings and balance the court out a little bit. The key thing for us is just take care of what we can do on our side, and everything else will pan out with them, and then we'll make the adjustments along the way.
And finally, Coach, you have 2 of the top 5 players in blocks per set in the conference thus far, in Logan Talbert, Ali O'Banian coming along now that you moved her from outside to middle to basically anywhere on the court. What can you say about, when you brought Brittany Gritman in, the first thing you said was she's a blocker. Her strong point or her strength is teaching blocking.
Yeah.
So I guess, can you talk about the impact that Gritman has made on these 2 girls and the team as a whole?
Well, she's done a really good job. When we brought her in, she was one of the top blockers in the NAIA last year, and we knew that she was going to have a nice impact on our right sides and our middles, and she has done so. Our blockings went up and everywhere. It's allowed me to work with other players, so we work on our defense and our offense as well as with the other positions other than the outside. Other than the middle and the right side. She's really good to show things that she's experienced along the way to kind of help them. I think that's what's helped Ali O'Banian a lot, is that she's kind of related, hey, I've been here before where you're bouncing around from positions and stuff, just do this. And Ali's really took hold on it. Logan's been the same way. Logan, blocking was not her forte last year. I thought she was getting better along the way, but this year she's kind of took to it like a duck to water. And I think that combined with her offense, she can be one of the top middles in our conference. As you said, she's one of the top blockers already. Now we got our offense kind of going back, so she's really done a good job there. Not only has she helped those 2 players, but we've moved Haley McNee around too. We've moved her from outside to right side, and Haley McNee's blocking really well now too on the right side. So Brittany's doing a really good job of calming people down when we're moving them around and saying this is what we're going to do on the block, and portraying those and making those decisions on how to block certain players in the game, talking about scout reports and things like that. So we're really happy to have her. We think she's doing a great job. Now we just got to pick everything up with our outsides. Now that we've got kind of a rhythm going there, and I think we'll be just fine.
All right, Lady Murata fans, tomorrow they continue their venture on turn around their season. They start at 3 o'clock versus Conference Poll Arkansas Monticello, and then continue at 7 versus Central Baptist College. We hope to see you out there, and we'll catch up with Coach again on Thursday. Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.